Okay, hi everybody, welcome to Concealed Tactics again. Well, we've been on the discussion of practicing. Well, the first thing that any gun owner should do, especially new to concealed carry, and this is before you even get to the range and do anything else, is practice handling and knowing how to clear your weapon, how to check for the safeties, how to check, make sure it's not loaded. That is primary number one here. Of course, you can see this is safety checked and empty. Magazine is out. Why is this important? Well, especially to new types of gun owners, if you're not used to checking it, it's a safety. You should never point a gun at anything you don't want to do. But also for this type of gun, like a Glock, which even though I don't normally do this one-handed, I usually do it two. To tear down the Glock, and as you know, safety checked, you have to pull the trigger before you can clear this. So if you're not used to safety checking, racking the slide back, making sure your magazines are out, and checking, this is also on the Glocks, there's also a round indicator on the side here. It'll stick out if there's a live round in there. But safety checking is one of the first things you want to learn how to do. And you need to get comfortable with your gun, the gun you're going to carry. Why is that important? I'm not just talking about safety checking. That's primary. You have to understand how to do that. So basically, I can't do this because I'm holding the camera with one hand. I don't have a tripod yet. Racking back your slide, taking out your magazine, racking back your slide, visually checking inside the chamber that you do not have a round in there. That's the first thing you need to practice and get used to it. Practice it daily, because basically you always assume the gun is loaded. The second things you can start to do is practice before you even worry about going to the range or shooting the gun you have, is get used to picking up and handling your gun without putting your finger in the trigger. This is a very, very common problem with new users, and they always want to stick their finger down in there when they pick up a gun. Practice picking it up like this. Practice always having your finger outside the trigger. Whenever you pick up the gun, when holstering, when not holstering it, this finger is out, away. Why is that important? Well, obviously you don't want to shoot anybody, but think about the other types of practice with this. What happens if your right hand is injured, and this is how you always set your gun down like this, and all of a sudden you have to pick up your gun with your left hand? How would you do that? Well, now you have to reach around, pick up the gun, and make sure your finger is not in the trigger. This is another type of practice. Just putting down your gun and picking it up from different angles. Same thing with your right hand. Now it's putting it down with your left hand. How would you pick this up? You don't ever want to get in the habit of putting your finger in the trigger. So this is one of the small fundamental practices before you even get to the range that every new gun owner and gun user should start getting used to doing. Is one, keeping your hand, getting a good grip, and keeping your finger out of the trigger. Remember, on target, on trigger, off target, off trigger. If you're not going to shoot it, if you don't plan on shooting it, you should never have your finger in that trigger guard. The other part of it is learning to safety check your weapon, whether it's being a pistol like this or a revolver. Understand how to decock your revolver safely so that you don't, even if you have live rounds in it or don't have live rounds in it, understand how to decock your gun so that you not pull the trigger. Because remember, if it's a double action, single action revolver, when you when it's already cocked back in single action, it may only take 3 to 4 pounds to pull that trigger, or in a double action it may take 9 or 10 pounds to pull that trigger. So if you've already got that hammer back, it does not take much. So learn how to decock your revolver. And a great guide on this, and if you've never taken your concealed carry class, or I'm not sure, every state's a little bit different on their regulations, but the NRI Basic Pistol Handling book is a very, very great book, and teaching you some of the basics of mechanisms of how all these guns work, how to decock, how to check for safety, how the parts work on firing and safeties. It's an awesome guide for the new beginner, and if you're not part of the NRA, if you haven't taken your concealed carry course, which I know it's required here in Ohio, that's part of the course, and that's basically what you spend 10 hours on. But if you don't, I think you can pick it up at the NRA site for about 10 or 15 bucks. I don't think it's that expensive, but This is the first one of a few things about practicing, and before you even get into practicing shooting, stances, holster drawing, this, that, and all the other things, first thing, learn to safety check your weapon, and learn to keep your finger out of the trigger. And this is something that you can practice left-handed, right-handed, both-handed. Imagine picking it up from the table, picking it up, make sure that finger's out of the trigger, going up to a two-handed position, shooting position, go to a one-handed shooting position. Again, make sure they're going to safety check and point it in a safe direction away from everything. Because remember, you own what comes out of that gun. You don't want to be pointing it at the wall in the neighbor's apartment and find out it's loaded by accident and shoot your neighbor. Make sure it's pointed to a safe wall where obviously there's no one you're going to hurt. And remember, if you're in the apartments too, this is something that most people don't think about. Make sure if you're in the upper or lower apartment, don't point the gun down if you're in the upper apartment, or don't point it up if you're in the lower apartment, because there's somebody living above you or below you. So safe direction always, finger out of the trigger, and learn to safety check your weapon. So that's the very first thing to start practicing. Thanks, Concealed Tactics out. Hopefully we'll get some comments from some of our subscribers and stuff on this. Got some awesome subscribers out there checking the channel out. These videos will hopefully get more in depth as I hopefully get a better camera and don't have to hold this so much. So thanks everybody. Concealed Tactics out.